Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talking Indie Books. Videos much like this premiere over on my Patreon, which is stacked with content for authors and creatives, from indie book reviews all the way to marketing how-to and insight into my own journey as an indie author, with a view to help others find sales, recognition, reviews, and growth on social media. Check it out. Reading and reviewing indie books has become a passion of mine over many years and has helped me get through the many challenges that life can present. To me, there is nothing better than the escapism, the immersion, and even the magic that reading can be. As an indie author myself, I know the challenges and difficulties of finding book reviews, and so just like my dedication to writing, here I am doing my best to support words by fellow authors. Welcome to Talking Indie Books with Lee Hall, an opportunity for me to showcase some wonderful indie books I've been reading. For this special episode, I shall be covering some indie books that I consider to be highlights of the year, and that being the year 2025. And I'm proud to say this has personally been a great year for reading indie books. Before we do dive in, I would like to just thank every author who has provided me with some great reading throughout this year. So the first book I would like to mention is the very first indie title I read and reviewed in 2025, and it is in the genre of Western. Of course, I'm talking about Dead Revenge, The Mystery of Devil Station by Marco Muzzy. I discovered this book while simply searching for indie Western tales. And seeing as I have a Western horror published, I thought I would support the genre. Dead Revenge is a cinematic and stylistic Western that really nails the whole tribute to what is a great genre. Westerns, cinema, and Westerns and literature are a winning combination, and this book really succeeds. The story centers around a mystery figure known as the Man in the White Mask, who is part outlaw and part cult leader. There are many out there who want a piece of him. The elusive gunslinger really doesn't mess around, and the mystique around him really carries the story. And as quoted from my written review, as a huge fan of Westerns, those who are familiar with the genre will find it represented well here, and for those who haven't, this one makes for a great entry point as it has everything. Description is the true strength here, and it is given to readers in huge doses through Muzzy's writing. There were many sequences between dialogue that really become sensory, haunting and immersive, making this a unique experience. And so my favourite quote from Dead Revenge, The Mystery of Devil Station, was this: "Two sluggish knocks rapped against the door. The servant standing before it did not move. But fear swept across his eyes. Two more knocks came. The servant by the door looked to the one behind the young woman and shrugged. He raised a shaking hand, and behind her, the young woman heard the other servant open the satchel and produced the knife." My rating for Dead Revenge, The Mystery of Devil Station was 5 stars, and you can find my written review linked below. Moving on to our next indie read, and this book is in the genre of techno-thriller, and I'm talking about Bazaar by Miles Joyner. Depth, action, and imagination are 3 words I would use to describe Bazaar, and it presents the ultimate what-if scenario, and then really runs with it. There are also plenty of themes that mirror real-world politics and society, and this is both thought-provoking and immersive. In a world where a page on the dark web is dedicated to running a type of sweepstakes for assassinations of prominent public-facing figures, this concept is the central point of a wider story that flows into contract killings and protection of those most vulnerable. And to quote my written review, "Lives are literally open to the highest bidder, and cryptocurrency is the primary form of payment. This scenario opens up the shadowy world of contract killing to the have-a-go types who are organized and use modern tech to communicate with others while even using that tech to create their own weaponry. There are also those who work in executive-level security that are fighting to protect the names listed, and Miles Joyner succeeds in delivering this thrilling, imaginative story involving all sides." And my favourite quote from Bazaar was, "The Bazaar. It's a paradigm shift in human interaction with control over the society we're forced to live in, crowdsourcing every little dime from whoever wishes to shake up the status quo." My rating for Bazaar was 5 stars, and you can find my written review linked below. The next book that I consider a highlight of my year is by a fellow author I have known for some time, and this author sent me an advanced copy in exchange for an honest review. This one is in the genre of literary fiction, and I'm talking about Fugitive Rifts by A.M. Mawini. The best word I can use to describe this story was uplifting, and it follows the lives of 4 students who are from different backgrounds, and they are brought together after being selected to represent their school in the debate team. These 4 characters have talents and challenges that are very much contrasting of one another, but they slowly begin to find a chemistry and cohesiveness that goes way beyond the debate team. It even moves into helping people who might be less fortunate in life or have lost their way and are looking to get their life back on track. There are multiple positive messages throughout a story where there is never a dull moment. And sometimes a positive, uplifting story is what a reader really needs, and it is something I really appreciated. And so, to quote my written review, the wonderful message within is the concept of this group all finding their way in life by relying on each other as friends while doing their best to help others. Beneath their exteriors are individual struggles with the likes of abusive parents or even homelessness, which are just some of the important themes found in the story, and their experience with such allows them to know exactly how to help others, which is exactly what they set out to do. An inspirational coming-of-age reading experience that's incredibly well written. My favourite quote from Fugitive Rifts was this: "Even out of such a horrible disaster as a megathrust earthquake, lives can be positively transformed if people care." My rating for Fugitive Rifts was 5 stars, and you can find my written review linked below. And so, the final book I'd like to mention as a highlight of my year is by visionary indie author Paul Jameson, who has appeared on my shelves multiple times. This book is in the genre of psychological thriller, among other genres, and I'm talking about 76 and the Odd 93. This is a dual timeline story that really reads like an immersive piece of poetry, with a depth and sophistication that really is a feast for the eyes. Set in both 1976 and 1993, Paul Jameson captures both time periods well, and they both have different kind of settings. The 76 era is based in the Cornish countryside, while 93 is in London, and there's a lot of atmosphere, there's a lot of description, and the description for both is on point, and is one of the many qualities within that succeeds a visionary story that is kind of foreboding. Evil is created in the past, but will strike in the future, and that's just one of the many messages and symbols found within the book. And symbolism is probably a big word I would use to describe this title. So to quote my recent written review, "I found myself particularly enjoying the level of description that nails the settings readers will find themselves encapsulated in, from commuting in London and the general rat race to the sizzling summer of 76. There's a great appreciation of history here, and more. With Jameson's visionary scope, there is always more to find within the words, and he doesn't hold back in any department. While I have several favourite quotes of 76 and the Odd 93, this one is my favourite. The fog is relentless. It finds a way into every nook and cranny. Cold and damp, heavy, it kisses chimneys, brick and leaf. Does leave no doorway, building, alley or lane untouched. It smothers noise and drowns London. Consumes the world. Nothing will ever be the same." My rating for 76 and the Odd 93 was 5 stars, and you can find my written review linked below. And so that wraps up this special highlights of 2025 episode of Talking Indie Books with Lee Hall. Indie authors are very much like small businesses and rely on the kind support of others to find more readers, so any support you can give an indie author will be very much appreciated. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey, and of course, if you're reading something right now, remember to leave a review. Peace out, rock and roll, and reading indie books.